You need to have water, you need to have a radio on batteries, and you need to have a flashlight on batteries to make sure that you can survive the first 36 hours. Things like that. That's simple things. But it starts there.
You just heard from the chairman of the NATO's military committee, Admiral Rob Bauer, basically telling the people in NATO countries to get ready. He's talking quite a bit about how that they could definitely be going to war with Russia soon. Of course, if you listen to everything he says, he's saying that it could happen within the next 20 years, but it could happen much sooner. And that for people to be stocking up on things, and if you just heard it, water, radio, batteries, flashlights, that's just the basics. That's just the first step. The things that you and I talk about, we watch these videos, you watch them, I watch them, we talk about it with other people, and we get kind of, strange looks occasionally. Oh, you're one of those kind of people. Oh, you're one of those doomsday weirdos and stuff. It's becoming less and less abnormal, folks. Here we have a top-ranking military official from NATO telling everyone in Europe that they need to get ready for potential war. They need to be stocking up. They need to become preppers. Here lately, I've had several conversations with multiple people, whether they be preppers or government officials and stuff. And we've talked about how it's interesting, and they even have made kind of joking comments about how the media wants to paint preppers as a bunch of lunatics, right? They want to make us think that we're all crazy. They want to make the world think that we're all crazy. But yet, on the other hand, our own government, through FEMA and other agencies, encourage people to prepare. In fact, as much as none of us probably would want to admit it, if you get on FEMA's website and you look into what they talk about with emergency preparedness and what you should do, there's actually some pretty good information there. They put out some pretty decent content, videos and suggestions on what you do. I mean, I think it should be taken a little bit further, but certainly if you are starting out and you want to understand what you can do to be prepared, you can find some pretty good information on FEMA's website. Now, I'm not advocating FEMA for anything. I'm not saying that. But the point is that it is not that weird to be prepared. And we are living in a world that is so unstable right now with all the things going on. I think a person would be very foolish to not be more prepared for what's happening and what will happen. And it's to the point, and this is probably a big topic for discussion, not today, but something that could be discussed and debated extensively. Are we to a point of no return? Are we to a point that this can't be turned around? Today, not that it's a huge big deal for me personally, and I know that offends some of you, but Ron DeSantis dropped out of the race and has endorsed Donald Trump. And I watched just a minute or so of his little speech. And he talked about how it's not too late. It's not too late to turn this around, to turn this failing country around by electing the right person to office. And I understand that there's a lot of people that believe that. And I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm saying that I disagree with that. I disagree that just electing one person, one man into the office is going to change things, because we've tried that before, and while maybe sometimes things slow down, they're certainly not stopped. And the second argument is that everything that's going on is way bigger than just the White House. It's way bigger than just the United States. It's global. This is a global movement to completely change, reset, and control everything that's going on. And so my personal opinion is that we have passed the point of no return. We're not going to turn this ship around. We're not gonna save things. It's just at this point that we're getting ready for it. We're actively preparing. We're bracing ourselves for impact. That tsunami is out on the horizon. We see it coming. We know it's going to happen, and you can ignore it. You can hope that it's not going to affect you that bad. You can hope that maybe it'll It'll be a little bit better than what everybody is saying, but the fact is it's coming at us. And so my opinion is that there's nothing stopping this. Now, of course, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. There could be all kinds of ways to stop this and to turn things around. But when you look at all the various things going on, all these points of contact that's happening around the world, in this country and around the world, I think we are past the point of no return. And I think that there's more and more people that's getting that. And so we have to be serious, folks. You have to be buckling up, getting ready. There are many individuals, you folks watching, and many others around the country that are doing just that. There are people like myself and our group and other groups that are doing things on a broader basis, a community-wide basis, not just within our own prepper community, but within the geographic physical community. We're trying to get others ready. We're trying to get our local services ready. We're trying to do whatever we can to fortify the areas that we live in. Because we've realized that big government, big federal government, big spending, big corporate stuff, it's failing. It's not going to work. And any good that comes out of that, any success that they have, is mostly going to be beneficial only to them. Not to you and I, not to the little guy, not to us folks out here in the rural parts of the country, in small towns and little communities. Very little of any benefit is going to trickle down to us. And so we know that whether it be World War III, some type of attack, some type of pandemic, some type of economic collapse of the dollar, whatever it is, we realize more and more that for us out here, us in little small town America, us in the little corners of the rural parts of this country, the only thing that's going to save us is our hard work, our preparations, and the work that we do to get those prepared around us. And we have to realize that more and more, because I personally think that things are moving pretty fast. I know for some of you, you're kind of thinking, man, this is slow. Let's get this show on the road. Let's just rip this Band-Aid off. Let's get it going. I get that. But honestly, if you sit back and you take it all in, I think things are moving pretty rapidly. And this guy that I showed you at the start of this, this admiral, he's not the only one out there saying this kind of stuff. He's certainly not. There are other military officials here in the United States. Some of them are retired. There are military officials in Europe. Others that are warning that we are this close. We're getting really close to kind of a doomsday scenario. And we have to get ourselves ready, because I think that there's so much global hostilities. There's so much fragility when it comes to the companies and countries and systems all being hyper-dependent upon each other and hyper-dependent upon certain things, that when it all comes crashing down, the level of dependency there is on system, on things functioning a certain way, is going to cause way more havoc. It's going to be way worse than the Great Depression, way worse than World War I and II. You know, during those times of struggle and hardship, the vast majority of human population at that time were still very self-sufficient. Even people that lived in cities, they kind of knew how to take care of themselves. They knew how to do for themselves. If the power went out, or if certain things didn't function, they knew they could go out and heat their homes, more primitive way, through cutting wood and, heating it that way, or growing food, or, knowing how to harvest and purify water from a live source, things like that. Very simple things, but they knew how to do them. We live in such a modern world and such a hyper-dependent world, such a really fragile world, that most people don't know how to do these kind of things. Most people have no concept of how to survive, of how to do with less, and how to take the responsibility for your own survival. Most people don't know how to do that. I know you're different, but you have to understand that you're rare. And so because of that, when everything starts falling apart, it's going to be way worse than it's been before. The mental instability in our society is so much more profound, and we have to brace ourselves for all of that. It's all encompassing. It's a huge picture with lots of varied aspects to what's happening and to what's going to happen. And because of this, it could be very overwhelming. It could be very shocking, and it could be very devastating. And so we have to be prepared for that. Do more than just getting water and radio and batteries, but certainly that's a start. Like the Admiral said, that's a start. Get that kind of stuff. Get your food, get your defense tools, get your medical stuff. Develop the skills as fast as you can to be self-sufficient. I'm not saying that it's going to be this way, but I think a good rule of thumb is to picture yourself, your home, your homestead in the, say, early 1800s, pre-industrial era. And could you survive under the conditions and what's available during the pre-industrial era? And if you can, then you're probably going to do pretty good. Now, I'm not saying that that's how it's going to be like. I mean, there most certainly will still be some type of technology and some type of machinery and stuff. But if you can at least know for certain, with at least some level of certainty, that you can survive under those pre-industrial conditions, then you'll do pretty good. But that's a lot of work, and it's hard, and it takes time. But it's our survival, so isn't it worth it? So keep doing this kind of stuff, folks. Don't get distracted. Don't get discouraged. Continue on your preparedness journey, because it's not a hobby. It's not even a lifestyle anymore. It's what's necessary to survive. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.